But Sherina, it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you for hosting us so beautifully. I'd love to just start by asking you a little bit about the evolution of aesthetics. So you established your clinic in Beaconsfield in 2015, but on the subject of tech and beauty, how has your offering shifted? I mean, what you were doing 8 years ago in the clinic must be very different to what you're actually doing today.
Thank you, Francesca. Yes, absolutely. I come from a background of reconstructive plastic surgery, so anatomy has always been a big passion of mine. And coming into the non-surgical world, injectables was actually the first offering I ever did, because the understanding of anatomy means that you understand where facial aging actually begins from. We understand that there's 5 layers of the face, and so we need to start treating from the depths of the skin, such as the skeletal area. We need to start lifting the face in a certain region, and I guess 10 to 15 years ago, those were the trends. So that was pretty much what I was drawn into. That's what I fell into. And that was the natural progression of someone coming into the aesthetic sector. So maybe it was my naivete at the time, because I didn't understand energy devices, light devices. They were also fairly new at the time in my world, because we didn't have those in the NHS. So I guess when I started aesthetics, yes, I had the experience of radiofrequency with microneedling. I had a lot of experience with botulinum toxin injections to treat lines and wrinkles, etc. And I had a vast amount of experience with facial injectables, as you know. And I had tremendous results with that. But very similar to plastic surgery, something was missing. And we weren't thinking about the facial envelope, which is the skin. So we could address volume loss, we could address jawline recontouring, we can contour and sharpen somebody's chin, we can augment the cheek, and we can make people look less tired. So it was fantastic, and I was very satisfied with that aspect of what I did, and we did that well. But there was the missing piece, which was the skin entity. And I guess the trend is, Francesca, I noticed back in 2012 to 14 that whenever I did these energy devices pre-aesthetics, I didn't feel that patients were responding as well to the treatments that they were investing in. And they would be investing. The treatments that we have to offer you, they're investments. I don't consider them expensive. I consider them investing for the future.
But they're also an investment in your time as well.
And the patient's time. So I want to be committed to giving our patients a result. And where I felt the skin wasn't responding to the treatments I was delivering, I needed to understand why. So when we fast forwarded then to 2015, my mission, I guess, in aesthetics was, I'm going to take the opportunity with time now in my own clinic and my own piece. And we were a new clinic, we had no patients. And I thought, I want to give myself the opportunity to learn something new. So I invested in the first piece of equipment was the Visia Digital Skin Analysis. And I put that by the front door because it was my first piece of kit. Because I needed to see, our patients need to see what results they're going to get. So we needed a baseline. So why don't we start that journey together? Let's take everything off. Let's pop your face in there and let's really understand what's going on. So we take a great consultation, but the majority of the consultation is actually asking the patient, what are your concerns? And then really going into lifestyle behaviors. Now more than ever, 8 years later. But I used to ask about sun damage being number 1, because that was the biggest culprit. Cigarette smoking, number 2, that's gone down in priority. And then we also used to ask about alcohol consumption, because those were the 3 big ones at the time. No one used to ask about stress levels in 2015.
Yeah,
not as much as they did now.
And it must be so critical to exactly all of your assessments that you're doing for the skin. It's a huge driver of inflammation.
Absolutely. So I guess when I thought about my injectable practice, I thought, wow, I'm seeing a lot more irritation of the skin. I was seeing a lot more patients with disrupted skin barriers, where beyond the injectable, I didn't actually want to carry out my facial fillers in that category of patient because the skin is compromised. And as an injector, you don't want to inject into compromised skin because you're introducing a dermal filler and you're potentially increasing the risk of that filler turning into something you may not necessarily want it to, a nodule, delayed onset or immediate. You don't want your patients to bruise. You don't want patients to have granulomas in the future. So these are very small risks in our injectable world, but nonetheless, I didn't want to increase that risk by looking at a skin that is literally disrupted. So I thought, actually, there is a great cohort of patients where I can carry out my facial fillers and my toxins and create a fabulous result. But there is also a large sector of patients where I did not feel comfortable to address. And that's when I realized we need to understand how the skin functions. I want to understand the science of skin aging, and Patrick describes it so beautifully. It's very easy to understand. But we also know so much more now. We're all using topical vitamin C as antioxidants to remove and erase the effects of UV damage and injury. We're all using hyaluronic acid as topical supplements almost, so that we can rehydrate the top of the skin, and we're getting so much better at that. We can also increase our oral intake of supplementation and feed ourselves from the inside out. And now we know where the injectables work. But there was something else missing. And fast forward 8 years, we understand now sleep, sugar, stress, chronic inflammation, and it's affecting absolutely everything, especially beyond lockdown. And I can feel it in myself more than anything as well. So when I touch my patients, I examine them, I feel their skin and their facial structures. This is now beyond the injectable practice that I do. I love to invest in great quality skincare, which is why we've gone above and beyond 8 years later to introduce our second skincare line, because the first one was excellent and it had to really top trumps with the next one I introduced. So we have innovative stem cell technology from plants to really drive the skin health in a hyper-performance way and ignite it even better by the power of light. If plants need it, as you said, mammals also need it too. And we have the science that Saluma actually delivers, because I'm not going to invest in anything that doesn't work. I have a philosophy in life: cheap always becomes expensive. And that is a mantra in which I live by, because it doesn't work. The patient invests in something. How do you genuinely know it is going to do something? Whether it's a filler, whether it's a light device. So I always believe in that. And then finally, the radio frequency, the skin tightening, the microneedling. And I have to say, in the many years that I've been doing this, the last 12 to 24 months has accelerated in the science of aging, the speed of the delivery of these types of muscle regenerating technologies. They started in the abdomen, then they went to the calf, and now they're in the face, and God knows where they're going to go next. And I'm very excited because I do believe that beyond the injectables, which I do every single day, even my injectable treatments are going to become more refined. They're going to start upregulating the body's own collagen and elastin and hyaluronic acid, and we're seeing that now. So I think where the perfect blend is something what I call treatment blending, combining the topicals, the technologies, perfectly positioned strategic injectables together with the dynamic mindset, and that's what I'm all about.